So I started my job search journey, if you want to say, like actually sending applications and things, on a Monday, and I got my first interview on a Wednesday, like that exact same week. That's how like good it's going so far. Hey, how's it going? I'm Melissa, the girl in a foreign land, helping you out, and welcome back to my channel. Before we get into the video, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and comment, and we would just, get this party rolling. Okay, so today's video I think is really special and important, not just for me to kind of give myself some motivation, but also for you. If you clicked on this video, it means you either want to start applying for a job in Germany, or you're thinking about it but you're a bit hesitant. So I'm here to tell you, like, go for it. That's kind of my role in this whole shindig. Okay, so let's get started. So I started my job search journey, if you want to say, like actually sending applications and things, on a Monday, and I got my first interview on a Wednesday, like that exact same week. That's how like good it's going so far. And if you would like a separate video of me giving more detail on what my application process is, how I was able to go from one day applying to an interview almost the next day, let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to get on that. Okay, so for this company, I sent my application and the email with like my attachments was in English. Okay, so they replied me back in English like, oh hi, we saw your documents, thank you, we're interested, what actually kind of position would you like? And so I replied back in English like, so I want to work in the hospitality industry, so in a hotel, and I told them I'm comfortable with either front office or housekeeping, anything within the rooms division. And they were like, okay, fine. And the next question was basically like, what's my German level, kind of. And I made sure to let them know like, okay, I've been learning German for literally 9 months. Like 9 months is how long I've been learning German for. So that's kind of where my German level is at, like B1, B2, because I've been doing intensive courses. And they asked me, okay, fine, how comfortable would you feel coming to do the interview in German? Like they gave me the option, like if you can do the interview in German, come along. If you don't feel comfortable, then we wish you all the best in your future endeavors or whatever. And I kind of sat down and kind of really thought about it, like, oh my gosh, can I do this? And I just had to tell myself, like, I came to Germany, started learning German because I want to work in Germany, and I kind of had to tell myself like, this is literally what we've been working for, and it's time to put all that work into action. And I replied, and I was like, yes, I would be willing. I made sure so clear I would be willing to attempt an interview in German. And they were like, okay then, see you on Wednesday, this time, blah blah blah. And so this was Monday, and I had like Wednesday was my Tuesday was my time to kind of prepare. And what I did is I watched a lot of interview videos on YouTube in German, just because when I was learning German, I wasn't specifying on German just for interviews or German just for the hospitality industry. I was just learning German, so I had to watch videos in order to pick up a few phrases I might hear that I haven't yet learned in German, and just so I can be a bit more prepared to answer those questions. I also did research on the company. I looked at their LinkedIn, their Facebook, their Instagram, their website, and whatever company other profile they had, just so when I went to the interview, I wasn't so blank on what the company is, because that's kind of important if you're applying for a job. They want to know that you're serious enough and you know about the company you're applying for. So I did that research as well. So Wednesday came. I could not sleep properly the night before. The morning I was doing my makeup, slowly actually still watching some videos, and I got to the hotel like 15 minutes early, just so I could see where it was, and I just kind of walked around psyching myself up, also so I could be a bit early. And from the moment I stepped into the reception, it was just German full on. Like I got to the reception area and she was like, Guten Tag, wie kann ich Ihnen helfen? And I was like, Guten Tag, mein Name ist Melisa und ich habe ein Vorstellungsgespräch mit Herr blah blah blah. So good morning, my name is Melissa, I have an interview with Mr. his name, insert. And she told me, okay, just go have a seat by the waiting area, lobby, lounge place. and my heart was still beating, but I had to tell myself, like, Melissa, you need to calm down, you know. So the interview started, and there was two people. It was a man and a woman. So yeah, you know, I didn't know it was going to be two people, but that was fine with me. I had no problem with that. So during the interview, the questions they asked me was things like to introduce myself, and the whole interview was in German, by the way. I had to introduce myself. Part of my application was showing what work experience I had, and so they asked me like what work duties I had in my previous work experience, just so they could kind of gauge whether I had enough experience or knowledge within the hospitality industry to work for them. And so I made sure to include a lot of taking charge words, a lot of action words as per se, just so they could see like I'm a good worker, but I can also take a bit of leadership as well. They really went through my CV like really intensively, asking me about all the different things I wrote, my German level, my education, my experience, a bit of my hobbies and things like that. And yeah, they also, I know when people go for interviews, a big topic is always talking about the salary, and I didn't actually have to bring it up. They brought it up for me. And I actually had prepared for this because during my research, I made sure I Googled or researched what the actual standard salary in Germany is for this position I'm applying for. So I had a rough gauge on how much I wanted to say. If I could go a bit over, a bit under, considering my position and my experience, just so I wasn't kind of like going in the dark with that. And so I gave them my answer, and they were like, you know, that's reasonable. And I was like, and so for example, I was able to kind of put in the research. Like, they don't necessarily ask you, what do you know about our company? And then I have to list on what I knew. I had to kind of insert what I knew about the company with the different answers I was giving. So for example, they asked me what kind of workplace do you think our hotel is? And during my research, I had found out that this hotel chain was family owned by family blah blah blah. And so I knew that it was a family atmosphere, and I knew that they were very focused on doing a lot of environmental friendly things. And so I used that within my answer. So I was like, well, I know that the hotel is owned by this family, and so I know that there's a very family environment between the workers to employees, workers to customers, and between the employees. And so that means departments are constantly helping each other, making sure that we're all collaborating towards like a neutral goal. But that was all in German, of course. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, oh, and I also know that doing something good for the environment is a big part as well. So congratulations on the new environment certificate you recently acquired. And they're like, oh yeah, it's right over there. I'm like, oh, I'd already seen everyone else scoping, waiting for them. So I was like, oh yeah. So and I could tell as I was saying this information I already knew about the company, they were very impressed, you know. And then of course came the part where they ask you like, do you have any questions for us? And that's when I also kind of tried to insert a few things I knew. So for example, it was like one of the questions was, oh yeah, I had a question about the different room categories and how it works. And I was like, but I read on the website this. Would you mind further explaining that for me? So it wasn't like I was asking questions that I Googled, and I was like, I did Google a bit, but I didn't necessarily do word for word. It was one of those, if Google told me, oh, ask about the facilities, I made sure I didn't just say, tell me about the facilities, but also be like, oh, I know a bit because I did research, but can you further elaborate on that? I feel like the main reason I'm getting a lot of good with these interviews is because I've learned how to kind of tailor each interview to the person interviewing me, and also the type of company it is. So I'm not necessarily having the same interview twice, because every company and every interviewer is different. And I feel like when you do interviews now, you need to be able to have that intuition to kind of read the room almost, and kind of see what kind of person they're looking for. Are they a more very professional company? Do they also want to do a bit of jokes with you? Read the room and you kind of know what you're doing. And so yeah, the interview ended, and they actually asked me like, did you understand everything we spoke about? And I just flat out told them like, honestly, there were a few words that I had no idea what you meant, but I was able to hear the other words within the sentence and kind of make it a puzzle and understand like, okay, so these words together, they're kind of looking for this answer, and in that way I could kind of figure out what they're asking of me, you know. And even they were fine with that. They were like, yeah, of course, we don't expect you to be 100% fluent, but we can tell like you're really trying. We can understand what you're saying and you understand what we're saying to you. And so that not only show that, oh, I'm a really fast learner, but I can take direction and I can put information together to be able to complete a task. So it's still part of the interview. Even though the interview had ended, they were still interviewing me. So this interview was on the 14th of June, and I'm recording this video on the 3rd of July. And between that time period, I've had 4 interviews. I've had 1 trial date. I have another one coming up next week, and I've had 1 job offer already. So that's already pretty good. And as I said at the beginning of this video, if you would like a more detailed video on how I've been able to do this, I'm still searching, and you know, a bit more detail on what my process is, how I'm doing it, let me know in the comments and I will get right on that for you. Now, as I said before, I've only been learning German for about 9 months, and so I made sure that before my interview, during my interview, I made sure I let them know straight up, like, this is my German level, this is who I am, so that they're not expecting me to get there and kind of give them German C2, C4 level or whatever. Because I feel like at times, even though you're not necessarily B2 or C1, C2 level, whatever language you're learning, sometimes they can kind of say, like, this person is determined, they're putting all this work to learn this language, so they'll put the same amount of work to kind of learn how to work within our company. So fast learner, determined is always a good thing, because they might have a candidate that speaks fluent German but not as a hard worker or determined as you are, and so you kind of had that up on them. And so just don't look down on yourself just because of your German level. And that's how I got my first German job interview went. Every interview after that has been getting a bit easier, but still all the nerves are always there naturally because it's not my first language, not even my second language. And it's going well so far. I will probably, when I get a job, fingers crossed, when I get a job, I'll probably do a video letting you know how that actually is working in Germany. But for now, we're still looking, we're waiting for interviews and trials and job offers, and it's a wonderful experience. And let me know how your experience is going. Let me know what you've been doing, where you want to work, how it's going, and we can go through this whole process together. And as I say, let me know in the comments. Subscribe, please, I would appreciate it. I mean, if you don't, it's cool, but it would be cool if you did. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.